Great. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who's here today. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and all your participation in this consultation. Do we have slides or no slides? Okay. I just wanted to take a few minutes at the beginning to tell you why we're here, who we are, and what this program is about. It's a little bit different from the consultation from this morning. So I'm with the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, which is a U.S.-based organization supported by the U.S. government and developing public-private partnerships to fund research into key food and agriculture challenges. So what we do is we work to identify partners in the private sector. We work with farmer groups and companies and so on, and identify what are some really critical research needs that can help our farmers, that can help our agricultural communities to advance. So we really are looking to unlock those research opportunities and support research that advances climate-smart agriculture. So AgMission is our program with WFO in collaboration, and I think of it as a scientist, I think of it as a hypothesis or an experiment. We think that by collaborating more closely between scientists and farmers, we can develop and identify climate-smart solutions that will be more rapidly and readily adopted. By fostering that connection and collaboration, we'll really be able to drive change faster. So that's the hypothesis, and part of the reason you all are here, and we're doing the Global Producer Consultation, is to begin to see, as we talk more directly with farmers and hear what you think about research opportunities and needs, how can that shape our research agenda? How can that shape the research that's happening in the field and ultimately lead to solutions that address your questions? So I've already spent some time going through the scientific literature and identifying research questions that the scientists think are really critically important about climate-smart agriculture and the future of agriculture and our changing climate. And we want to ask you all now to think about what you see as critical research needs. What are the questions you have about your farms, about your operations, that you think scientists should be addressing, that you think the scientists should be focusing in on as really important to address what farmers are concerned about? So that is one of the key elements for today, and really grateful to you all for being here, for sticking around for the afternoon. I know it's going to be hard with jet lag and just after lunch, but we really are appreciative of the time you're taking and really looking forward to hearing the discussions and being with you all throughout the week. So thank you very much. I'll hand it back to Lorenzo.
Alison, thank you very much for your kind words. Thank you also for introducing the consultation of today, because this is a very good assist for me to say that today we are launching for the first time a new established farmers consultation methodology that we have been developing in WFO over the last year with the support of AgMission and other partners. And I want to comment Lorenzo's work. He's going to have a presentation soon after, because we have built a research method to gather information, practices, and experience from the farmers that are replicable and comparable, so that we know that what we have learned today can be also compared to the situation of the near future, to see what we have to improve, what has worked, what has not worked. So this is to share with you my joy in launching this new farmers consultation methodology, which is officially launched today. And I now give the floor to Lorenzo, who will tell us a little bit more on this, the research methods that we have established. Thank you. Please, Lorenzo.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lorenzo. I'm very excited to see all here gathered, kind of moved also, because this is the pivotal time for our job as WFO. We are trying to become more data-centric and we are establishing a new way to empower you as farmers that today reaches peak. Because today we are going to ask you about climate-smart agriculture together with help with AgMission, and we will have the space to listen to your voices, really, and then to analyze them in a quantitative and qualitative way in order then for you to be recognized at the highest panels. And we as WFO think this is a priority, and this is something that we should keep striving for. Today, we are divided into subtopics of climate-smart agriculture. Every table has a number on it, and you will find subtopics of the major area. I will also say that if you don't have a number on your table, you should try to grasp a table with a number, or then we will find a solution to listen to all the voices, because fortunately you are more than expected and we are so happy about it. And the peak, as I said, the peak of the consultation is today, but we will keep working to find the best way to represent what you tell us today and arrive at the COP28 ready for a report on climate-smart agriculture, and then keep consulting you on every matter that you also want us to report in the institutions. So thanks. And also another logistical information. The French table has been moved, the Francophones table has been moved there, so you have more space since you are a lot of people. But you can move after the panelists, so no worries, you can stay there up until now. So thanks a lot, and see you later.
Thank you very much, Lorenzo, for this comprehensive information. So the day will continue this way. We are going to have a panel of farmers on the stage, everyone sharing their own experience on climate-smart agriculture and what it is needed according to their experience to improve this. And then we will move the discussions at table levels. Lorenzo has explained how the table will continue. And after the table discussion, a number of rapporteurs will inform the plenary on the outcomes of the tables. And in the end, Arianna Giuliodori, the Secretary General of WFO, will make some closing remarks for us. So let me now call on the stage Ms. Lone Anderson, Vice President, Danish Agriculture and Food Council, Dr. Nandini Azad, President, Indian Cooperative Network for Women, Matteo Bartolini, Vicepresidente, Italian Confederation of Farmers. I said it in Italy, sorry, this is my language, so it was just in automatic. Then Dr. Betty Chinyamunyamu, CEO of National Smallholder Farmers Association of Malawi, Rob LaRue, President, National Farmers Union US, Diana Lenzi, President, European Council of Young Farmers, Ms. Ngunyen T. Viet Ha, International Affair Manager, Vietnam Farmers Union, Mr. Koliang Palebele, President of PAFO, the Pan-African Farmers Organization. Please come on the stage. And Ms. Fiona Simpson, President of National Farmers Federation. Is there space for all of us? Thank you very much. Do you need help? You can sit next to back.
Okay, they can't see us clearly.
Wow, I'm so happy to have a very crowded panel. And so we have more or less 45 minutes. And I really appreciate your presence here. So thank you very much. And I would like to start by asking Diana. Diana, you represent the young farmers here today. So please, I would like to start with you. Tell us, what is the experience of the young farmers on climate-smart agriculture? What do you think young farmers have inherited from the predecessors, and what do they need to align to the requirements of the future? Is it working?
I'll try. I guess so. So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Luisa, very much for this question, for allowing me to bring a little bit of my perspective. I am, or was, up until February, actually a young farmer, and I represent the young farmers of Europe, of CSA. In my own experience, embracing climate-smart agriculture was something that was part of my path of taking over my family farm. I'm a viticulturist from Tuscany. We've always had vineyards, but the approach I brought to the farm management was much more direct. My parents had different jobs and just kind of transformed the family property into the winery. When I moved there and I started working in sync with the vineyards and started understanding their hunger, their need of actually a different approach when it came to soil management, when it came to plant protection management, when it came to recognizing the different signals that we were getting from climate, how climate patterns were changing, and how I needed to adapt the way I worked and how I protected my plants and how I embraced the agronomy of the fields was fundamental in my transition to becoming, I think, a better farm manager in general. It was challenging because, for example, many of the efforts I did, part of them, of course, were supported by the European Union. We have a lot of funds when it comes to, for example, transitioning to organic farming, which was what I did. But all of the extra steps I did, using cover crops, using pollinator flowers, for example, also creating fences to protect the fields from the biodiversity that was there, but that you need to actually allow to live also in the surrounding areas, were all efforts that I actually had to do on my own as an entrepreneur and had to make fit in the business plan. This also helped me a lot bring this perspective. So how do I make the challenge, the ambition, and turn it into an opportunity? And this is what we've been trying to do actually in CSA. We've worked for over 2 years on the concept of sustainability in agriculture, but from a pragmatical point of view, through something that could be feasible, through something that could actually be, that could actually create a different business model in which to create generational renewal, also by embracing climate action. So understanding that we are living in a world where we need to be capable of analyzing in a different way the conditions in which we are farming, adapt them, and use that adaptation process also as a leverage to create more profitable, more economically resilient, resistant farms, because often all of this takes a lot of investment. And that investment capacity is something that young farmers are fighting for, are hungry for, and often have a lot of challenges when it comes to getting the credit from a bank.
Thank you very much, Diana. So from Europe to India. Dr. Nandini Azad, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience in your countries with rural women in applying climate-smart agriculture method? What's needed and what is there according to your experience?
Thank you very much, WFO, Luisa, and all of you. Reshaping climate change through utilizing gender-smart tools for women is, in our case, from indigenous wisdom, that these women are already doing it. I'm honored to lead the acclaimed Working Women's Forum and the Indian Cooperative Network for Women in India with 600,000 poor women in the 4 states of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. We work with 267 occupations. agriculture, dairying, fisheries, poultry, agro-processing, etc. Manufacturing, production, services, trades. We are 43 years old, and we have in small loans given nearly $5 billion US dollars, not from donor support, but from the poor women's shares, their own interest, rotating them. So we are not rich, but we are clever. Very, very small loans. And 90% of the repayment has happened. Women's roles as food producers and in household food security was under an attack during the pandemic. We are just out of the pandemic. And we need extensive investments and organized integration. This is from the ground level that I'm saying. And in many cases, they created their own supply chains when the global supply chains failed through the financial inclusion and resources. And just with 26 loans, starting with 200 rupees, which is not even $10, the women were controlling the wholesale, retail, consumer market. And after we had provided them loans for boats, for nets, for other equipment, drying, etc. So the point I'm trying to tell you is enabling agricultural, processes for women to access finance, produce, markets, employ other women. Growth is so important. For very poor women, grow through cooperatives. So this is the point I'm trying to make, that cooperatives are one mechanism where climate change can be tackled, and gender smart and climate smart, can be financed, where women can buy it themselves or when they are doing it. And this group, as you know, in India is very powerless, low skill, unregulated, invisible. But today, after we have come in 43 years ago, we are a force at the policy level, the planning level, with the governments, and yes, with financial institutions. And we work under SDG 1, 5, 9, 13, and 14. I'm going to just tell you a 2-minute story of a very poor member to tell you how she's using gender smart. So my talking is different. That's why I wanted those pictures of women, because I like participation of poor women farmers. And I did send it to WFO, I think, a few days ago. If we can put them, you can see the very, very poor women that we are working with. Padmavati, this woman, did not have cash wages 21 years ago. Her afternoon was starvation, lunch. No lunch for the family, 21 years ago. She started with a 10 euro loan and now has a 500 euro loan after 21 cycles. And the first time she bought a bullock, the second time she bought a bullock, and then she bought a single foot plow. What I'm saying is women are doing it already in all these things, and I'm very happy because of WFO that we have started doing research on our own, finding out what they are doing in their lives. So from wage work, she moved to become an asset owner of bullocks. Later on, she leased land. And here are these landless women in India. Only 8% of women in India own land. 75% are agricultural workers, really poor. So therefore, over the period of time, over a period of 21 loans, she leased land, she bought land, and where the redistribution of land has been such a big political issue, the financial inclusion helped her buy the land of 25 cents, but on her own name. And that is where we came in and said, you have to buy it. So 42% of our women have, with our help, land on their own names. This is very important for climate smart, gender smart agriculture. Women have to have titles on their own names. So 42% of our members have it. And then she, as far as seeds are concerned, she used it the indigenous way. She not only made it paddy rice, but she also distributed to networks around her, her relatives, her neighbors. So they are networking already at the village level, at the provincial level. Next was the whole issue of fodder. Fodder too. Now, they have done it from their own fields. They store it, the hay, for their own cow or buffalo, and the remaining is left over. They sell it. So they have many diversified employments. And with the fodder, they add the brand and feed them. So what I'm saying again is, I don't know about outside inputs, But I could see that they have it, and all they need is financial inclusion, and they need a bit of skill training and empowerment, not to let patriarchy take it over. Now, in terms of using tradition...
Thank you, Dr. Nandini. Can you wrap up in 30 seconds?
What my last words? No, the point I'm trying to make is that these women, Padmavati is not an isolated case. This is a random case. So therefore, we have started a climate financing pipeline. And we have decided to put $100,000 and look for training in all these climate smart approaches. And we need training for our cooperatives in climate financing. It's all very new to us. So therefore, the points I'm making about all these people is that all over the developing world, farmers are in shocks and disasters and pandemic facing it. So therefore, go and find out what exactly they are already doing and see if we can build on it. And I would say loaning, climate financing is going to be one of the biggest things. And if they can do it on our own, like us, we don't take donor money, but only for training. It all comes from the interest of these very poor women. Thank you, Louisa.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Nandini. So building on what you said, in all the developing worlds, farmers are in shock. But let's start from the solutions they have to see what we can build. Mr. Palebele, do you agree on this? Do you have the same experience in Africa? You represent a very large number of farmers. So can you share with us your vision and your experience?
Merci beaucoup, madame, de m'avoir donné cette opportunité. Je m'appelle Kolian Palebele. Je suis le président de la PAFO. La PAFO est une plateforme, une organisation paysanne panafricaine qui regroupe tous les petits producteurs et même les grands producteurs. Elle a 5 réseaux membres. Il y a EAF qui est basé au Kenya. Il y a la PROPAC au Cameroun, il y a l'Europa qui est basé au Burkina. Vous avez aussi le SACRO qui est basé en Afrique du Sud. Ça, ce sont ces grandes organisations qui forment aujourd'hui ce qu'on appelle la PAFO. Et donc, la PAFO regroupe toutes ces organisations qui font des activités énormes et qui pratiquent donc ce qu'on appelle l'agriculture intelligente face au climat. Parce que récemment, il y a de cela 3 jours ou 4 jours, nous étions en atelier, disons, on était en réunion à Kigali pour un peu partager nos connaissances en la matière. Et donc, il y a eu de très bonnes pratiques faites par nos réseaux qui ont été présentées. Et c'est avec l'appui du FIDA, et avec le financement de l'Union européenne, que nous avons pu organiser cet atelier à Kigali, qui a réuni environ 100 personnes pour partager les réussites des projets, des réussites de nos projets, et les cas les plus importants ont été présentés. Et je pense qu'au sortir de cette rencontre, beaucoup ont appris des uns et des autres sur toutes les activités que nous sommes, sur des cas réussis. Et donc, ça marche pas là? Allô? Ok. Ah, moi, je vous avais averti ici, hein. Si vous n'avez pas, ça vous apprend à aller chercher les écouteurs qui sont là dehors. Alors, c'est bon? C'est bon.
Sorry, there is a problem with the interpretation.
Voilà. Donc,
So I was saying
je continue.
that I'm going to
Can
continue
some
with interpretation.
technical staff help with this?
Oui, mais je pense aussi.
Try to speak, Mr. Palebele.
Oui, c'est bon.
Apparently,
Oui, j'attends.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Mais en français, j'écoute bien ici.
Well, English speakers, could you?
Il faut demander
confirm
aux
if you are
anglophones
getting-
s'ils écoutent ce que je parle, ce
Are
que je
you
dis.
getting the English interpretation? Thank you.
OK.
Right.
C'est bon? Très bien. Alors, donc,
Therefore,
pour moi, au niveau de la question de changement climatique,
well, regarding climate
nous
change,
oblige à changer notre façon de
we'll
faire.
have to actually change our way and our
Et
approaches.
vous savez,
You know,
ça n'a pas été, c'est pas une philosophie qui a été inventée par
it is not
quelqu'un
something that has been
pour
like
qu'on puisse
invented,
changer notre
reinventing
comportement
the wheel.
dans
We
la
have to
gestion
only
de nos
change our
terroirs.
thinking and then they change our ways of doing things.
Nous avions
So,
entre-temps géré déjà nos terroirs très bien,
Actually, manage situations
mais
before.
avec certaines technologies plus avancées,
Thanks to some
nous avons
technology
détruit
and
nos
some,
terroirs.
PowerPoint,
Nous avons
presentation,
détruit
we
les
made
plantes,
it
nous
clear
avons
that
détruit
we were
les arbres.
able to know that the
Nous avons
consequences
fait
of
du
destroying
mal
our
au sol
environment has occurred.
en utilisant
We have
des
destroyed the
mauvaises,
soil,
des choses
we have
très
used,
dangereuses
very
pour nos
bad
sols.
practices,
Et aujourd'hui, nous
and
sommes
then
victimes.
today, we are the victims of what
Nous
we've
sommes
done
victimes de
today.
notre propre intelligence. Nous sommes allés très loin. Donc maintenant, c'est le moment de revenir en arrière. C'est comme ça
Mr.
que
Balebele.
nous, au niveau des organisations paysannes, on a pensé
Today, we were able to bring about a change because people actually started using the old technologies in terms of agricultural production. So that is what you call here today smart agriculture, because simply we have forgotten that we were practicing it before. Today, you could see that people begin to realize in signing some kind of deals, some kind of sharing some of the opportunities and some MOUs between the different producers so as to actually do some organic fertilization. So this is the link that is between agriculturals and the different livestock rearers so that it could increase the productivity of their lands. So I think it is a very simple mode that will have to come back so as to rethink our behavior. So also I must mention the fact that some practices before were still very good in terms of fighting soil erosion, because we did destroy some of the vegetation, some of the forest, and then that could created more soil erosion. So we have to reverse that situation and make sure that we don't have mudslides and a lot of erosion of the land. So that will allow us to have more productivity in those areas. So in some villages, production has increased due to the efforts of reversing the and then even we cultivated the bean. And for instance, at a surface of 1 hectare, it was about 600 kilos. And then in some villages, without any intrant, any fertilizer, simply because they just changed their way of doing things, they were able to change from 600 to 1,000 kilos of production. So this is to tell you that actually this is something which is quite important. Even that, we were able to actually increase the production volume from our soils, and then to manage better the kind of soil erosion and to retain for a certain time water retention in our areas. This is then to say, from my point of view, that agriculture in a sustainable way, in a smart way, must be a kind of approach that we all have to get into. Because I think it has been a success story and will be, and then we have to put it from village level to city level to regional level and global level. So in Kigali, for instance, there were some success stories in Kenya, success stories in Burkina Faso, success stories in Chad and Cameroon, and then we put them together to have a holistic approach, and we believe that we can get from that point to capitalize on those success stories to be able to change our way of doing things. So briefly, that's the message I had for you, and then I will have to come back to you, but I thank you for giving me the floor.
Mr. Palebele, for your witness on what's going on in Africa. This is very interesting insight. Thank you very much. I will now completely change continent and ask Fiona from Australia. Fiona, you have the microphone there. In your country, farmers and science is already acceptably close. Can we say this? Would you agree with this affirmation? And what do you think is missing? And what do you think it has been successful in your experience as a farmer, but also as the president of the Australian Farmers Organization? Thank you.
Thanks very much, Louisa, and thanks for having me here to join this very esteemed panel with wide experience. In Australia, Australia is one of the driest continents, if not the driest inhabited continent in the world. And so our farmers have for many years had to be really innovative in how we farm and the agility in what we do. We are lucky in Australia that we have a very close relationship with our research and development organisations through a farmer levy that we pay, and the research portion of that is actually matched by the government. So we do already have a closeness between the researcher and the research organisations and the farmers that is not always easy to achieve in many other countries when the standalone scientific organisations are completely unconnected with the farmers. What we see farmers doing, even though I think perhaps they haven't always called it climate smart agriculture, is changing the way they do things to make sure that they can adapt to a rapidly changing climate and an erratic climate. And they include some of the things that have already been mentioned. For example, like no-till and minimal-till cropping to try and keep the moisture in the soils as much as we possibly can. Things like cover cropping now, increasingly that we are using to try and put natural fertilisers back into the soil to use less inputs and to increase the fertility and the stability of our soils. We're also asking our researchers to look at the varieties of crops and wheat and seeds that we can grow in Australia so that we can be agile if we have shorter seasons, hotter seasons, drier seasons. And in our own region in Australia, we've been looking increasingly at the frost tolerance and the incidence of frost in areas of our landscape. We're also measuring the movement of weather systems across our landscape with technology. And so it's really by, I think, that the innovations and the practices, whether it's cover cropping, whether it's water use efficiency, we've seen crops like cotton, for example, improve their water use efficiency by 48% over the last few years. Rice uses less than 50% of the world average. We've seen targeted research with farmers on their farms with data as an output of it to help keep driving their innovation. Farmers in Australia are not subsidised. We need to make sure that we can keep improving and innovative and being competitive. And if we don't do what we do well, then we just fail as farmers. So I think by keeping the farmers absolutely connected with the researchers, making sure that the researchers are doing research that actually is meaningful for farmers on their farms, then that creates a huge opportunity for us. Just briefly, as an organisation, NFF has had to really make sure that we can place agriculture right in the centre of the climate change discussion. It was an incredibly political discussion, an awful discussion in Australia for many years. And in the last couple of years when it's resurfaced again, we wanted to make sure that we were well placed in the national dialogue. So our targets were the farmers themselves, that we were speaking for them and acting on behalf of them, but also government in some of the policies that they put forward to make sure that they weren't policies that were going going to punish agriculture, but they were policies that were absolutely going to enable us to see the benefits of some of the research we were doing, and also the community, to place agriculture in the minds of the community in a way where they don't see us as a real problem child. We may be a problem in some respects, but we're also the solution, and we also need to keep growing food in an increasingly changing environment. So that's been our approach in Australia, Louisa.
Thank you very much, Fiona, also for bringing the positive message that farmers don't feel like a problem but also a solution, which is something actually that is kind of challenging also the feelings of the farmers, to feel always guilty of something. What do you think, Rob? How is the situation in the US? How are farmers dealing with this complexity, with the request to produce climate smarts, but also the pressure of feeling guilty and the problem of the climate?
Yeah, well, first of all, I would start to appreciate this conversation and really the diversity of views throughout the entire room and around the globe, because that's what we need to be sharing as much as possible. That diversity, of course, is also localized in each of our home areas, and no different in the U.S., where many different farm organizations have very different views on the approaches to take. But one of the promising changes that occurred just a couple of years ago was that a group of farm organizations, co-led by National Farmers Union in the U.S., gathered together to create a new paradigm or a new way of thinking about addressing these challenges, and that was to build consensus. Where's the common ground among, even in the agriculture community? And so working together with a relatively small group, and then ultimately now encompassing 80 different groups of not just agriculture, but also food representatives, representing forestry, representing the environmental community. Again, each individual organization, we're all independent. We want to make sure that we can achieve our own goals, but we look for that common ground, and where is that consensus? That voice, that bringing together that consensus voice has really benefited us in providing, I think, a blueprint for government to now set forth pilot programs that capture that diversity, that capture that need to make sure that we are truly farmer-centric, and that farmer-centric isn't another term for farmer-targeted, but that we're representing farmers in all parts, all different crops, all different arrangements, and that consensus kind of approach has really benefited.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for also bringing this positive message of consensus. I'm glad to hear all these positive messages from our farmers today. Matteo, do you also have another positive message that you want to share? Please.
Okay, thank you. First of all, let me say thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this international panel. I do believe that only together, when we talk each other and we listen each other, we can understand better, we can share some information and maybe achieve also the challenges that we have in front of us. I'm here representing the Italian Confederation of Farmers, but also I'm a farmer myself. So let me say that my organization as one of the mandate is to share the opportunities, to talk and create like a bridge between research and the farmers. And we do this creating partnership with other organization or association, but we also work on that. So for example, I'll give you just a couple of examples, and then I want to give you and give you back concerning the question that you raised. We create like a collaboration with the AIM for climate change, and we do believe that this is important to understand what in other continents they do for to be more resilient and to help farmers to to achieve their own objective, that is not only produce but also to be sustainable from the economic point of view. And with the climate change, we have a lot of, work to do. As you can heard, in Italy in this week, we had a lot of rain and we have a lot of problems. So, we have to work a lot in order to avoid that this situation create problem for the farmers. But in the meantime, we also do projects. So, for example, we create like a partnership with another with a firm for biocontrol in order to reduce pesticides, in order to give the opportunity to shift from conventional to organic farming, in order to achieve also the Green Deal agenda that EU put in place, so 25% of organic field cultivated. And so we have our technicians that help farmers to understand what the research put in place. So they are, technicians that go into the field together and work with the farmers. But in the meantime, we also create like a partnership, for example, and a project with France and Croatia for soil in order to keep in mind the importance of soil and all the nutrients that soil contain. But in the meantime, I have to say that research is important when start also bottom up. So I want to share with you my personal experience, because I'm a farmer. I live up into the hill. I live in the center of Italy, where we are famous for one kind of cultivation that is a truffle product. Truffle needs a lot of water, but where I live, I have no opportunity to reach the public water. So I have my own well. And in the meantime, I'm a farmer, but I have also a farm holiday. So I host my guests during the summer. But if in the summer you have water for the guests, maybe you have no water for your truffle cultivation. So what we start to say with the university, how we can make a truffle cultivation in this area if we have no water. And together with the university in 2010, we built like a partnership. We create a project. We have a sensor in our soil that make 5 analyses per hour and gave to us all the information if soil need the water. So we don't waste our water if soil doesn't need. In the past, we were used to say, okay, we are in May and we need to put water into the field. Today, we are not doing anymore this. So now, doing the research with the university, I'm able to save my water. I'm able to stay a bit more talking with the guests in my farm holiday and a bit less into the field, even because if there is less spores that produce a truffle, I have to make inoculation. But if we make the analysis and the analysis says that the soil is rich, we don't need to do anything. So, this is one of the opportunity that we need to raise today. That is important research, but it's important to start from the needs of the farmers. And we have to create the condition starting from the needs of the farmers.
Matteo, thank you very much. I'm very happy about all these positive messages of today, and actually being farmer-driven and starting from the farmer's needs, I think, is one of the key elements if you want to improve our approach to climate-smart agriculture. I will ask now Betty. Betty, you come from a country where you represent quite a high number of rural people and farmers. What is your experience in adapting to climate-smart agriculture, and what would you improve according to what you have learned? Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting us to be part of this panel. Malawi's experiences with climate-smart agriculture are quite interesting because there's been a lot of transformation that has taken place over the years. So when we started talking about climate change, government, NGOs, and other stakeholders were really promoting climate-smart agriculture. But we found that adoption was quite low. So many of the farmers were either not adopting or they were only adopting part of the practices of climate-smart agriculture. So together with the farmers, we sat down looking at what are the things that are preventing them from really adopting climate-smart agriculture in its entirety. So we came up with a concept which is called Climate-Smart Agriculture Model Village. And this concept of the Climate-Smart Agriculture Model Village is a concept where all the practices of climate-smart agriculture are practiced within one village. So whether it's organic farming or whether it's diversification, minimum tillage, whatever it is within one village, so that a farmer in that village is exposed to all the technologies. And we found that that has significantly increased adoption because the practices, actually, there are linkages and synergies between the practices. So somebody, because they're doing livestock, they have the manure that they need to go into their organic farming. We also found that by having all these practices, the farmers were able to learn and link with researchers. So actually, researchers had to come to the village and start working with the farmers. And in many ways, the research was demand-driven because there were questions that the farmers already had, and they just wanted the researchers to work with them to find answers and solutions to those questions. So the farmers were collecting data throughout the season. So when the researchers come, the farmers were able to, really work with the researchers and say, this is the data that we have, this is what we observed throughout the year. And that helped to really integrate and make sure that research is really demand-driven and farmer-centered. But what was also interesting was the inclusion of women and youth and everybody in the community, because it's happening in the village. Nobody has to travel maybe to a demonstration plot that is outside the village. More interestingly, we found the inclusion of the elderly, because the elderly tend to stay in the village. They don't go out, but they have a wealth of knowledge, indigenous knowledge. And because all these practices are happening within the village, the elderly are also able to contribute, and indigenous knowledge and research becomes a part of the science. Another advantage, and maybe the last one, that we found was that other service providers were also encouraged to come in. So, for example, insurance companies or processors and different organizations that buy commodity, they were able to come and start having contracts with these farmers because they had assurance that these people, the village, was in a better position to manage the risks that are associated with climate change. So if somebody signs a contract with them, they had more confidence that these farmers would be able to produce, unlike other farmers who perhaps were not adopting the wider range of climate-smart technologies. And lastly was the whole issue of integration with other things that happen in the village. So many times, farmers are just treated as people who are working in the space of agriculture, but they're not. They're also working in health, they're working in education. And when you brought all these technologies within the village, then the other people were also able to integrate and work with them, not only as people who are working in the space of agriculture, but in nutrition as well, in education as well. And that helped, to create more time and to make sure that when they have meetings, it's not just about production, but it's about food safety as well, nutrition, which really helped to broaden and help the farmers to embrace the technologies. Thank you.
Betty, thank you very much. It looks like a super practice, the Climate Smart Agriculture Village, where the indigenous knowledge becomes part of the science. Fantastic message. Lone, is it the same in Denmark? Do you have a different experience on the farmers applying climate smart agriculture?
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm an organic dairy farmer, and we have just now, this week, in the Danish Agriculture and Food Cluster, come out with a plan, a 2030 plan, because our new government have a very ambitious plan that we have to reduce the climate emission from the agriculture sector in 2030 with 55 or 60%. So we are very, very busy. So we have exactly find out together with researchers, universities, and all the knowledge we could find. I think also all over the world, we have made a plan for we think we can reach it in 2030, reach the goal without reducing our production. It's very ambitious, but we think we can. We have found 30 different technologies how we can do it. It's about breeding, a more clever strategy for breeding of cattle and pigs, power to X, pyrolysis, a lot of these different technologies. And then we, as farmers, we also have to put it on the farm. How are we doing this on the farm also? I'm a dairy producer. We produce milk for Arla, the cooperative Arla. And Arla have made a sustainable incentive model where we have to, they have 6 categories where we have to registrate and have to act on all different. It's about biodiversity, it's about renewable electricity, it's about carbon, it's about carbon farming, feed efficiency, and about knowledge building. And we have to register this different times in all the time. And now I have to do it when I come back at late. The deadline is 31 of May. Next week, and it's if I don't do it, the motivation for me to do it is that I get more money for my milk. So of course I do it, but it's they push us. That's the motivation. They push us, and we try to move to reach the goals. And then the last thing I'll say, it's about the education. I think to reach these very, very big goals, then to face all these challenges, we have to be attractive to young people. It's very important that young people like to work on our farms, that we have a safe and a healthy work on the farms, and we are attractive for them. We have a increasing of young people going to the aquaculture school in Denmark. We have made an education strategy to be attractive for the young farmers with some Show Me image campaign, and it had to work now. And we have made also. We hope we'll have innovation center for also the people, the young people, the students have to be better, learn all these when there is 30 different technologies, and the young people have to learn it. But the teachers it's also very important. They learn to teach the young people and the trainees. And of course, it's very important that we as farmers take it on board and not only say, no, I don't want to talk about this ESG. We have to learn it also as farmers. So it's a big, all together with this plan, together with how we're doing on the farm, and also how we can get the young people on board, and also the old farmers and older farmers and the younger farmers, of course, get on board and learn all this. It's a very big challenge, but I hope we will reach it. So my last sentence is that the climate change knows no borders. Global challenge calls for partnerships, collaborations, exchange of ideas like we're doing today. And if our ambitions have to be real solutions, they must be shared globally, like here today, because we farmers do not just cultivate land, we cultivate solutions for the future and for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Lone. Thank you very much. I now give the floor to our last speaker of today, Miss Nguye. Please help me pronounce your name. Nguyen Thi Viet Ha. From Vietnam. Yes. Welcome to WFO annual meeting, and please let us know what's going on in Vietnam when it comes to climate-smart agriculture experience. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me the chance to talk in this very important event. And for Vietnam, I work for Vietnam Farmers Union, the one organization representative for more than 10 million farmers in Vietnam. And actually, the Vietnam Farmer Union is pay much attention on the climate smart agriculture, and especially our government pay much attention and have also the very strong commitment on the emission reduction. That is why in Vietnam, not only the government, but also the farmer at the grassroots level, we know very well our role in the how to reduce the emission. And today I just want to talk more on the how to help the farmer to apply the scientist results, scientist research result on the climate emission and also the emission reduce. Actually, in Vietnam, we have a multi-stakeholder collaboration in the climate change adaptation, and also work more on this issue. And for Vietnam Farmer Union, I just want to share some cases, very specific cases on the how our Vietnamese farmer doing for play the role in the reduce the emission. The first one we try to make the demonstration site on the how to apply the scientist research result and the farmer fear at farm level. Like the first one, we talk about the rice cultivation. We try to encourage farmer to use some climate smart technique. That is not very new one, but we try to simplify and make the farmer to easy for them to adopt and change their habit. Before they used a lot of chemical in rice cultivation, but recently they know very well and about the negative impact, and also they have more attention on their health also. And we try to introduce and encourage the farmer to use some kinds of reduce a chemical in rice cultivation, especially the nitrogen. And we show them very some tool, very simple tool, like use the leaf color chart to know when they can put more the nitrogen And when the rice is the overuse of nitrogen, something like that. And the other technique, we also try to guide them onto how to manage the water in irrigation system. We try to give them the guidance on the alternate wet and dry. Meaning that they can, in all the techniques, these techniques not only reduce emission, but they still keep the profits for the farmers. And also the burning straw is also very terrible condition last a period. But now in Vietnam, the farmer, they don't, most of them don't burn the rice. That is very important thing, because usually, especially if the air is affected a lot by when the farmer burn the rice. But now they reduce a lot. And the other one, we focus on how to help the farmer to use the organic waste management. Meaning that they can use like a straw management, rice straw, and also the rice tap to make the compost, or maybe they can use the manure from the animal to raise the black soldier fly. It can become the very good feeding for chicken or fish. That is some, and also on technique is on the red worm. Red worm raising also is a very effective, and that is not very new one. But from Vietnam, we try to encourage all the farmers to how to use try to use their waste, especially in the like a crop or manure or animal residues to become another feeding. That is from Vietnam. I try to explain to you some cases because the time is very limited. So I try to conclude my speech. I try to how to help the farmer to apply the research result in the field. That is a very important thing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Nguyen. So thank you all. But first of all, a big round of applause to the speakers who have been just excellent. Thank you. Thank you for bringing experiences from different countries and continents. Thank you so much. Just one closing message, and then I will leave the floor to Lorenzo, who will explain you about the tables. As you could see, when farmers speak and provide messages and solutions, these are always positive. So probably we should start listening to farmers more and leverage on their experience. Thank you very much. Lorenzo, the floor is yours.
Hello again. So now the consultation will start with all of you involved. Alejo, if I can ask you to raise your hand. That is the French-speaking native speaker table. We made it larger since you are a lot, fortunately. If you could move there, it would be amazing, please. We are going to have 9 tables. We have numbers on those tables, and you will move every 25 minutes and discuss different topics related to CSA agriculture. Okay, so could the other facilitators raise their hand, please? Okay, those are the tables where we want you to sit, please. So now maybe since this table is going to be free, if you could move here, it would be very helpful. Okay. Perfect. And while we are assessing, our facilitators will help you with any information.
So now for today, we are going to listen to 4 rapporteurs who will tell us about the first-hand outcomes of the conversation, but a full report of this day will be prepared and shared with you all in the next weeks. I would like to call on the stage Giovanna Amelio, Policy Officer of Coldiretti, Prince Kuipa, Chief Economist, Zimbabwe Farmers Union, Sakina Mukavele, Secretary General Mujede, Mozambique, and Ganshan Siborum, President Falcon Association. Okay, thank you very much, guys. You have 3 minutes each to report on what you have listened from the table. But before they start, I just would like to announce you that Gansham will speak in French. So if you need a headset for interpretations, please try to find someone. Giovanna, I will start with you.
Thank you, Luisa. So I am the rapporteur for the table that discussed about youth and advocacy regarding climate-smart agriculture. So the first discussion I had was about youth. The question was if young farmers can adopt climate-smart practices and push the climate-smart agenda. And all participants agreed that, of course, they can. Not only they can, they must, because they are the future of agriculture. At the same time, they are facing several challenges. First and foremost, they have difficulties in having access to credit, finance, also training, education. So they deem fundamental to obtain access to all these elements, factors, and also it's important to have a peer-to-peer learning experience in this regard, especially in climate-smart agriculture, because sometimes there is also confusion about what climate agriculture is. Also, another important element that emerged is the access to land. Of course, is crucial for young farmers to have access to land, to invest in a healthy soil, which is essential to mitigate and adapt to climate change, to also reduction of emissions. And we also concluded our discussion with a positive message that is that for young farmers the most important thing is the legacy they leave. So once again, land is fundamental, and one of the most satisfying things they can do is to leave the soil, the land they have, in a better condition, and also receive the soil and the land in a better condition. Regarding the discussion about advocacy, what emerged, the first takeaway is that farmers should not be involved only in policy implementation, but from the beginning, so also during the phase of design of policies. Moreover, all policies should be science-based to facilitate the communication and implementation of policy by policymakers. So should be a stronger relationship and partnership between farmers and science. And lastly, it is important to make sure farmers are well trained to have the capacity and skills to leverage on national governments about climate and agricultural issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giovanna, and thank you all for your insights. So, Prince, now it's on you to report on what you have listened from the tables.
Okay, thank you. The first area that I will discuss is the diversification of production as a means of mitigating effects of climate change. This was observed as a viable means of mitigating or adapting to climate change, but it also came out that it needs collaboration amongst the actors that are involved, which means we could be including here CDLCs, because they also do a lot of research in terms of drought-tolerant varieties. If we are talking hybrid seed, government research institutions, you find that most of the institutions in the government are poorly resourced and therefore would need some investment to meaningfully contribute to the development of germplasm that is suitable for the changing climate. And also even financiers to also come in with the necessary financing. It could be patient financing from the NGOs or the financing that is coming from bankers. And then another point to highlight is that climate smart agriculture may not necessarily be profitable at the first instance, because there is a learning curve. Therefore, if we really want to promote climate smart agriculture, we need, because there are other benefits that we aim at, which are environmental or regenerative agriculture that we were talking about. All those are benefits, but they might not bring money into the pocket of the farmer. So there is need for support from government, from central government treasury, to promote climate smart agriculture, especially in the initial stages of adoption. Then also we talked about technology, and I think the point that came out was is that technology accessible to farmers? The technology has advanced to such an extent that there are big machines that are driven by GPS and so on. But are they accessible or are they appropriate? So there is need. They are available but not accessible. So there is need to find means of making sure that they become accessible. How? Through access to finance and also through technical backup, and also research and innovation to come up with appropriate technologies. I can give you an example of the two-wheeler tractor that can be adopted by the smallholder farmers. Then renewable energy is also another way that can, as an element of climate smart agriculture, to use renewable energy, which the farmers can use by biodigesters that can also generate gas that can be used at the farm, and that is cheaper. And also, if you are doing solar, you can also, if you do more than you need at the farm, you can actually also, there are now technologies that allow you to actually hook onto the national grid and also get benefits from there. And
Please,
then,
can you wrap up?
Yes, this is the last one. Then in terms of technology, we see that our farmers are in the remote areas, and most of the time they cannot access the data network. And most of the time we then resort to use SMS technology, but it is limited in terms of the characters that you can send to a farmer. So also poor connectivity, and especially just to cover the last mile, where if the information reaches the extension worker, then the last mile is how can it then reach the farmer when it is still useful, especially marketing information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prince. Sakina, what has emerged from your table?
Thank you.
3 minutes.
You. Yes. There were a lot of debates, but
Alors nous avons eu des débats, mais nous avons surtout parlé de l'organisation. Alors nous avons fait une comparaison par rapport à ce qui se passe au niveau national, par rapport au niveau régional.
Peer-to-peer collaboration, exchange of good practice, and also visibility in multi-stakeholders events of farmers, but also some notes on farmers, on the role of farmers in the climate smart agriculture. We can say that the women cannot participate fully due to lack of activities or multifunctionality of women in the agriculture that they have to address for daily work. But also they have multi roles. And also, some of women that still have challenge to access the land and to legalize their lands. So there are a lot of challenge, but they are very, very important challenge that they still need to address: trainings, lands, and how to support the women to be able to work equally, to produce equally as men. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sakina. Thank you also for being so brief. Ghansham, to you, 3 minutes.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. In our group, we were able to talk about adaptation and also to underpin the fact that the agriculture could be one of the areas which focuses on policies, the national policies, because governments normally will want the agriculture to be taken as a very easy kind of activity, but it's not so much easy because we have to take into consideration the climate change factors. So we have to talk about the quality of the data which have to be harnessed, and also we know exactly that we also have to be in tune with WHO requirements, that there are a lot of chemical adverse effect on the soil, and then the quality of the soil, and we have to reduce the kind of chemicals that we use in our farmlands. So then we have to think about all those aspects in terms of policy drafting. So the policy should take that into consideration. In the different tune, we have to talk about innovative approaches in use of technology. Technology actually compels us to have access to it first. We need also access to the proper financing modes, and also we need to know exactly how we could do some of the coordination in terms of use of the high tech, like using the drones. And there are other state-of-the-art technology that can be used also to have to actually do the appropriate use of the different fertilizers. So to be able to do all that, you need the financing. Because if we want to actually contribute effectively, you have to actually be cognizant of the carbon market. A lot of countries really don't know how to actually go about it, because the principle for the funding of the carbon market is difficult for them. Now, we have to note the factor, the environmental pollution, because we have to actually take cognizance of the fact that people should know more about how to manage the land in terms of reducing the pollution of the environment. We have to also try to make a lot of mobilizing the youth in agricultural activities. The use of the media also is very important. But we should note the fact that there is a great difference between the youth which is involved in trying to be attracted by the life in the cities and those who really have to be actually more cognizant of the realities in other areas in the innovative way in rural areas. So you need to actually know that we have to do a kind of reforesting some dry areas, some dry lands, and because the dryness, the drought is affecting those areas. We have to also think in terms of aquaculture. Aquaculture is also something very important because it's not only just on the land, but they have to think of in an intelligent way the areas which are covered by the hydro areas. So water resources would be key. Water resources for the dry land to irrigate them, and water resources in trying to make a sort of agriculture within those wet areas.
Can you wrap up? It's fine? Okay. So thank you very much to Giovanna, Prince, Sakina, and Gansham for reporting on the first
vamos a reportar
from the table.
el primer
And,
tiempo en la mesa, como he dicho,
as soon as possible in the next weeks. With this, I also would like to thank the facilitators of the tables who have been working for 4 hours in making sure that everybody contributed to the discussion. Thank you very much. Arianna, to you to close the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Luisa. Thank you all. Just 1 minute because it's already 6:02. We want to respect the time. So I just want to put things a little bit into perspective of what happened in this room this afternoon. So how often have we heard, well, farmers learn more from other farmers than from anybody else? True. How often have we said that farmer stories are a unique value added that can really bring up solutions that can change the way we think about climate-smart agriculture and how to tackle, in general, mitigation and adaptation? True. But how often have we heard that what we have in front of us in terms of proposals, of solutions, of what the research does not match with what we need? Very often. So what happened in this room is the effort that each one of you, to whom I'm really grateful, has put on the table to close this gap, to have producers and researchers get closer. And these precious materials, your experience, your stories of this afternoon, will then converge into something even bigger, this report that Luisa has also talked about, and will become a value that will be offered to AgMission and it's for the development of a research agenda that is truly and authentically farmer-centric. So congratulations to each one of you for this achievement and enjoy our night.